the VPC creation, and then after doing multiple times, I resolve those problems on my own. So finding useful.
Okay.
Same here, Pantreshwar. This is Raja. So yeah, I'm not a techie person. Like I'm completely a kind of a project manager material. So initially, when I started, I was bit of a. I felt it would be a bit challenging to understand the terms, but you made it very, very simplified. So even like a layman also can understand how the code functionality is working and what are the pros and cons of it. You're doing a wonderful job, Pantreshwar. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Like I found somebody, even if still people want to join, somebody at 12th standard. She wanted her son to be joining this, but I don't know how this will help her or him. But anyway, so we are already a bit covered the basics, right? So I'll not go back to basics, but if somebody is interested to join at this point, and she wants to go or he wants to go through the videos and on his or her own, then come to this class and session and join. I don't have any issues. The intention is to help others. That's all, actually. So if somebody is interested to join at this point, then, but it is good that if they come prepared with the videos maybe on YouTube, right? And if you can mute, please. Okay. Okay. So so having said that, let's start today. And today we'll do, as I said last time, we'll install WordPress application in a two-tier network. One is the web server will be in the public subnet, and the database server will be in the private subnet, and we'll be able to see how we can. Why I choose WordPress is, if you see most of the application or web server and based applications, PHP based applications, there are a lot of WordPress templates people are using, right? So the base is WordPress, basically WordPress engine. So even if today a lot of applications which are running in production, they're also running the WordPress engine behind. So that's a good example to take as a real-time application which will be running in production. So today we'll make the base of the web server, and then with that base we'll go forward, and we'll always refer to that base engine. Okay, so because AWS gives 3 instances for free during learning, so we'll try to actually minimize our some way up to 3 instances. So let's go ahead and let me share my screen. So here it is. What we'll do is, so this is another. So slowly we'll move towards architecting the cloud, architecting applications in the cloud, right? So ultimately what I want to reach is, I want to just introduce you to one thing here, a well-architected framework. I'll speak about it before really moving ahead. What is a well-architected framework? And you can find documents with well-architected framework on AWS. In fact, there is a very good document they have produced last year, 2019. If you see here, AWS. Okay, so well-architected framework. So I think this one. Okay, so you can you see here the framework: operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, and cost optimization. Okay, so you can download this completely, the PDF file, and here you will find a well-architected framework. They produced this in July 2019. Okay, this is a good document, and I recommend everybody should be well versed and well acquainted with the whole document. Then once you have an overall architectural knowledge, then each, again, pillar, they call it the 5 pillars. Each pillar: operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, cost of optimizations, each having another document, specialized, right? So you can also download each document separately. Here, if you check here, each is here again different documents, which will be kind of detailed. So I believe we all are from IT, long timer and like old timer IT guys. So we should be rather very much experienced and knowledgeable with all the IT aspects. So we should go ahead and deeper into operational excellency, how really we can architect a framework. We can architect a framework which will be operationally excellent towards using the cloud, obviously, and how security addressed in a well-architected framework, how it will be reliable, and how it will be performance, performant, and how cost is minimized. Okay, so with that, we'll see the two-tier architecture, what we are going to do with the WordPress example. So we'll touch upon everything. Okay, we'll see how security is addressed, how reliability it will be, how performance will be addressed, how minimal cost will be. So we'll touch upon everything to arrive the final architecture. Okay, so we'll see here in this everything from operational. These are called the 5 pillars of well-architected framework. Okay, so let's make the basic application today, and then we'll slowly move towards the different pillars of well-architected framework. Okay. Now, going back, so this is my dashboard. So what we do is, this is our VPC is already created, right? That's we have created our VPC. I will not go to create VPCs again, but I'm sure many of you may not be, if at all not all, many of you, as you said, you can create your own VPC, create your subnets, and assign them IP addresses. You can have security groups, so on and so forth. But we'll as much as possible, I'll try to repeat. But my VPC is already ready, so I'll not do that. And let's create an instance first, a web server. Okay, let me create a web server and a database server also. Okay, so I'll go to the 2-tier network, select, and with T2 micro. And what I'll do is I'll make it a web server in the public. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll introduce also a new thing today. Like, if let me see. So what is here, though it is by default auto assign public IP, right? So it will be assigned. So let me not assign one. I'll disable, so that let me have the instance in the public subnet. Instance will be in the public subnet, but it will not have an IP address. Okay, so let me see, and I'll have that. So address, this is the storage, and tag, let me tag it. I'll give a tag, a name as web server. And security group, I have a DMZ security group where all these IP addresses are allowed. These ports are allowed: 80, 8080, 22, 443. 22 is for SSH, 443 for HTTPS, and 80 so is for HTTP. And launch and acknowledge. I have this key pair available with me, and that's all. Let me launch another instance also, EC2. Then we launch another DB instance also. See, I'm not using RDS here. I am purposefully not using RDS. I want to create my own database instance because there are instances where people prefer to have their own databases and they create their own databases. So I'm going to create my own database. Okay, select, configure, and this database I'm going to have in the private. Anyway, it is not having any public IP because it is the private subnet. So storage, and I add a tag. My name is DB server. And security group, I have the security group which is I created previously. It is allowing me only SSH and 3306 port number, because obviously I don't want any others should be connected to it, and I want only from subnet 10.0.0.0 they should be able to, whoever in this subnet, they can able to communicate, not others for security reasons. Okay, review and launch. Yes, and that's all. So I have my two instances running. I have not installed anything, but only created two barebone instance, or barebone two AWS instance. One is already running, and okay. So let me prepare both the servers now. Okay. So, and you see here, I don't have an IP address, right? So how can I access it? Both, this is anyway private, it will not have an IP address. This is web server also, I don't have any IP address. So in this scenario, what I'll do is, I'll assign a public IP to it. I can do that if it is in public subnet. So here there is something called elastic IP. Okay, so let me allocate. I don't have. Okay, listen me first. Elastic's IP are not, they are free. Elastic IP are free, but I believe if I don't know if that rule has changed. If you are allocating an IP address to yourself and you are not utilizing it, possibly you will be charged. I have to check it, but as long as you're using it, you won't be charged. That means they're telling that use sensibly. That's all. Because if you allocate yourself one IP address, it will be allocated to you. It cannot be utilized by others. So that means you are reserving this IP address for you. And if you're not using it, simple reserving does not make sense. It's a waste of resource, right? So they insist that if you are allocating an IP address, then you better use it. Just don't float it, or don't allocate to yourself and don't use it, right? So that's why this is called elastic IP, and elastic IP addresses are always public IP addresses. So this is a public IP address I have allocated, but this I have just reserved now. I have not assigned to anybody. Now let me assign this IP address to the web server. I can do that. So here I selected it, and action, associate elastic IP address. Now I associate here, select the instance, and you should choose here, this is a web server which is running, web server, and assign this, and just tell associate. Okay, now if you go back to your running instance, web server, you see here there is a public IP address now, which is the elastic IP address. Okay, there is an advantage here, and what I purposefully entered to introduce this. Why? Because suppose I want to access directly this web server, and now I'll be able to do it. But now, after my work is over, suppose I just want to use a load balancer rather to access this web server, then what I'll do is I'll remove this IP address completely. I'll disassociate the instance from this IP address, and I allocate a load balancer rather to access, and I will not be able to give any direct access to the web server. This is another security wise it is safe, because if I remove the public IP address, then nobody can reach my instance directly. They have to go through the load balancer rather. That's it. Good for security. So I'll tell that how it can be done, but this is, I wanted to introduce this. So let's access with this public IP address now. Okay. -a, why you have to do -a is, so SSH -a -I, because from here I have to also log into the DB server. So EC2 user. Okay, so now I am able to log in here. So this is the instance. Let me log in SSH EC2 user. Just wanted to test if I can log into my DB server or not. So from here, why my system became slow, I don't know why. This is the DB server and it is 10191. So 10.0.1.91. Yep. Okay. So now I can access also my DB server from here. Okay. So now let's go and install the web server first. So what I'll do is systems sudo yum install.
Didn't get that. Could you try again?
Sorry. Okay. So yum install httpd. Right? Okay. Now system set yeah. Okay, so let me see if I think my system went slow. I don't know why. I have to restart my system. It's bad for me to work. It's not responding some way. Let me join back. You guys hold it. I think, I don't know if I should do that. Let me try because it's recording, so I don't want to stop, but I don't know why it is so slow. It's not responding properly. Let me close the whole thing. If any major application is and to close, maybe. So, okay. I have to stop sharing for some time. So let me log in back and I will come back. Okay. Okay, so I think we're good now. Hopefully it, yep, okay. So now, okay. So my web server is running. This is the test page, but okay. Now, let me install PHP also before really going on web server I'm installing. So I have created a slide actually. This is the previous one. Right. Where is my, okay. Okay, so this is the WordPress. This is the steps I have to go. Why I'm just copy paste I have to do. So this is the best way Amazon gives. There is a way to just install PHP 7.2 because it is Amazon specific instance. It is not a CentOS. So they have their own way. If you can find it, if you search how to install PHP on an Amazon instance, you can find this way. First it tells you have to all the related to Amazon how the PHP packages that you can install. So this is the way you can add the repository to any Amazon instance, and it will install all the related repository and packages for installing all the related to MariaDB, all the things related to HTTP, and all the things related to PHP. Okay, so this is the way it installed. Now, if just to check it whether it is PHP is installed or not, we can check one thing. So what I'll do is where HTML. I'll go to this. I'll create a file called simple info.php sudo pi info.php. And what I'll do is this much only. Okay, and let me see if I can access that page. And what is this one? Okay, info.php. Oh, okay, I have to restart the server. Okay. You see here now, it gives all the PHP information, like what are the packages, what are the uh, plugins, if at all anything installed. So I just created one file called info.php and I called a function, this one. This is the PHP function, inbuilt PHP function in the PHP library. I call this PHP info and it gives me all the details. So that means now it is our web server is understanding all the PHP related pages, PHP pages. So now let me download the WordPress package first. So download WordPress, search it, you can search. So go here and copy link location. So here, what I'll do is I'm here. So sudo, because this is wget and this one. So this is now downloaded here, latest.tar.gg, right? So just untar it, sudo. And this is the package now, and now I'll remove it. Sudo. Now only my, okay. Now what I have to give is, I have to give this package, WordPress is a folder created. I have to make Apache as the owner of this directory. So what I'll do is sudo chown Apache and group also Apache. WordPress and star. That means everything is now owned by and the user Apache, which is actually the web server HTTPD. Owner of HTTPD is actually Apache and Apache group. So this is what I have to do. And now let me restart the server 2. Okay, so I should now at least, now because I need a database. Okay, so let me just check if I'm getting the WordPress now or not. If you see here, now WordPress is, I'm getting, that means the PHP config page is now coming. So now let's go. If I go, actually, I cannot communicate to my database server because database server is not at all present, right? So here it is telling we have to have a database name, username, password, and a host. So let's go and do that before really moving ahead. I just wanted to fill my database work is over now. So now I have to go and prepare my DB server. So let's go and log into the DB server. So from here, I log in. SSH EC2 user and the IP 10.0.1.91, I believe. It is 91, right? Yeah. User, okay, I have to check, like tell people slowly. I think I need to tell. You can find the private IP here, okay? 10.0.1.91. So this, but this is accessible only from the web server because I have my security group. POCDB security group does not allow any other to be connected. So you have to be with the web server to be able to communicate with that. So that's why, because I am here with the web server, right? I'm at the web, already I logged into the web server. So now I can log in. So 91, now I am logged in. So this is my DB server, right? Now, let's install the same thing. What I have to do is just copy this again. I don't have to do PHP here. Okay, sorry, I cannot do that. Okay, so okay, this is a good example also that you cannot do that. Why? Anybody can tell, please.
We have to have a NAT.
Yes, good answer. So we need to create, before we can install anything in this server, we have to create a NAT instance because this is in the private subnet, right? So we have to go to the VPC and create a NAT gateway and create NAT gateway. And I have in the public subnet, I have to create this, allocate one IP, one elastic IP address, right? So allocate one elastic IP address and create the NAT and edit the root table. So where we will root? From the, obviously from the private network, right? So this is the root table, which is like connected to the private subnet. So I'll add a root here and okay, previously added. So let me delete it. Now I add a root 0.0.0/0 and to the NAT gateway. Save root. So now I created a root. Previously, you see now exactly, we can check it. Previously, it was not going through. Now, let me do the same thing again. Why it's not going? Okay, it's still creating. I'm sure the NAT gateway is still not, yeah, it's pending. Okay. So the NAT gateway is still pending. Let it be available. So then without that, we cannot do anything. So we have to wait. It should be available. It should be available. Now, once you do that, then we'll wait. We'll install the MariaDB server, and we'll create a database there. We'll create also a user, and we'll create the password, obviously, and then we'll configure our web server to access the MariaDB server. Once we do that, then only our WordPress configuration will go through. Otherwise, this will not go. This will fail. So we have to have that set up first.
Hey, Panja.
Yep.
It's available. Quick question, Panja. First thing, you didn't install the database client in the public, right, instance. We didn't install it. Is that not needed?
No, it's not needed. PHP. Okay, here I'll come back to that because it's not. We have not done anything yet, right?
Yeah.
We have just installed the web package, that HTTP server we have installed here, right? In the web server.
Yeah.
We have not even accessed. So why I need MySQL? Because I have not done anything in the web server, right? So I want to tell you that, and to your answer, web server obviously needs a client because PHP now I am not going to access. The PHP is going to access, right? Because web server, in the web server, the database, the WordPress application is going to access the database, not me, right? So actually there is a package which is PHP MySQL that has to be installed in the web server. It is PHP.
It's a package of PHP.
It is a package of PHP. So that's why I have not come to that. Okay. So we are just installing the PHP. You see here, there's something called PHP MySQL related. Okay. So this will enable PHP to be communicating to MySQL.
Okay.
So you said that previously it was not going, but after the gateway, NAT gateway is available, it automatically went through. So now all the 3 instances are used. I believe I cannot have more. Web server, DB server, and another is my NAT instance, NAT gateway. So all the 3 are utilized. What happened? It stuck. It is stuck here. I don't know. This will not take so much of time, honestly. Let me. Somehow it is, I think I need to, let me terminate. It should not take so much of time. Okay, it went through. Let me check it again. Okay, now, so this is done, and let me do an update. Maybe for that I didn't do it right. Yeah. Once the packages are installed, now sudo yum install MariaDB Server. We'll install the MariaDB Server. Actually, MariaDB is the open source MySQL. It's one port of MySQL. Okay. After that is installed, so we have to have taking some time, another just one more package. These are the small instances, so it is taking time actually. 8 gig of size, and okay, it's done. So sudo, let me start it first. systemctl start db. Okay, let me enable to, so that and just to configure it, first we have to actually execute this statement called MySQL secure installation. So here, first time when we are creating a password, because it is a fresh installation, there is no password, press enter, set root password, by default, yes. So I'll give something my own, and you can give your own too, and re-enter. And remove anonymous users, I said by default, yes. Disala root login remotely, yes. Remove test database, yes. Now reload privilege, yes. So now, thanks for using MariaDB, and it is now configured, and I can log in. So now for logging in, MySQL is the client, MySQL minus U root minus P. This is the way I now logged into my MariaDB server. Let me create a database. So create database WordPress. This is created. Now let me create a user also. Create user WordPress user, maybe just try to give create user WP user, and let me copy it completely. Create user WordPress user, and this one, so that I don't have to remember it. Create user WordPress user at localhost identified by password. So this will be what I'll do is, for those, obviously I'm sure somebody is there DB admin, right? But for this, I'm creating a user, create user and username, and this is the username, and in the local host, which is the current host, and identified by password means I'm giving, actually the password itself is called password. So okay, let me give password 1 maybe, okay, so that it will be different. So that means I'm creating a user, WP user, and allocating a password called password 1, okay, for them. It's created. So now give this user, so it is called grant permissions, like we have to give permissions, right? So grant privileges, I'm giving all the privileges to the user for the WordPress user, okay? So grant all privileges on WordPress to WP user. I'm giving here, you see here, I'll explain this. You don't need to know it, or you don't need to remember it. Grant all privileges on WordPress.star. That means on the WordPress database, because you see here, I created, this is should be same. WordPress is the name of the database. So WordPress.star to WP user, right? To WP user, and you can check this @ actually this is a symbol that means from any system it will be identified by password. Let me give to any system for, and password 1 is the user password for the WP user, and this symbol is percentage symbol is this WP user can be connected from any system. So that's the, and now I give grant, and I do a maybe commit, and I flush privileges, and exit. Now I have created a database named WordPress, created a user called WordPress user, WP user, created a password with password 1, and I have given password WP user all the privileges of WordPress database. Having been done this one, now let's go back to our WordPress here. Let us see if I can communicate now. Let's see. So let's go. See, a database name, it is showing database. WordPress, obviously I have created a WordPress name, right? Username is WP user, right? Password is password1. And obviously, what is the IP address of the database was 10.0.1.91. I believe 91, right? Yes, 91. So it's 91. And give a prefix. You can just give anything and submit. Now, okay. So here it's telling that it cannot write this file. It does not have permission to write because it's owned by the Apache. So what I do is copy the whole thing, copy it, and create a file called wp-config.php. So let me go ahead and create in this in the web server. So this is the web server, right? So now I am here in this www.html/WordPress. Here, what I'll do is I'll create a file called wp-config.php. So here it said the same thing, right? You can check it here. So hit the link that wp-config.php file. So create this. I'm creating and just adding whatever it gave me. It is asking, it told that, okay, copy the whole thing, these things, and add it there. So now I copied it and I just change the permission again. So that is chown sudo chown apache wp-config.php. Okay, let me restart the server. So let me, without restarting, can I have it run installation? Oh no, yes, it is done. Okay, it went through. Okay, so now it is this page will not come if your web server is not able to communicate to your database server. This page will not come because this is now WordPress is running. So I can give anything here. I can big cloud log. Okay, so I can give anything here. So ABCD and the rate 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, something. And confirm your weak password, email ID, something. This one I can give, and then install WordPress. Okay. Provide a valid user. Oh, username I gave Charleshwar. Weak password. I know this is weak, but it's a testing. Just yes, it is done. So you see, this is now WordPress, and this login. Now I can log in with my BCD at the rate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? This is the admin page. So I'm sure you also guys can access it. Can you please check it from your machine? Can you access it? This IP 18.221.175.62. Let me copy it to the chat. This is the IP. WordPress. Can you access this site? And if you can access this, let me know, because this is public IP.
Yes, I can.
Okay. So now we created a actually WordPress application which is publicly accessible, right? And you can log in. It's same Panchaleshwar and address this one actually. The password. This is the Panchaleshwar is the username and ABCD@123456789 is the password. Can you log in? Just check it.
Yep.
Okay. So as long as this is okay. So now we have installed WordPress on this, right? So I want to introduce another thing here. So now, as I said, now suppose I don't want to SSH it. My web server is suppose ready, because everything is now, you don't need actually to access your web server directly. Okay. Because it's everything you can now configure from this IP address it is now application text control, because how you are configuring your WordPress, it's up to you, right? Whoever knows WordPress, if you know, this is okay. So whoever knows, you see that this is the application, and this is this is the admin dashboard. I can post anything, I can change it, look and feel, I can change actually a template, I can add whatever, everything I can do from here. I don't need to log in anyway to the web server directly and SSH. Okay, then I don't need it. I don't need a public IP address. Okay, so let me remove it. I know we cannot access it. Let me remove it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to Elastic IP. And
sorry, Panchaleshwar, what's the reason we don't need the IP address over there, public IP address?
it's a security concern to give direct public IP address to a web server anyway. Yeah. So you see this is, you all know the IP address of this is now, right?
Yeah, yes.
So it is a security concern, okay? And it is SSH is available. That means anybody can just using some sophisticated tool maybe log into my system because they know the IP address. So I don't want publics to know the IP address. So 62 is this one, right? This is also, this one is my, actually the gateway. This is the NAT gateway IP address, and this is my public IP address for the web server. Let me remove it. Disassociate this Elastic IP address. Okay. Now you will see this. The instance is not allocated, and let me release also this IP address completely. I release it. Now nobody can access it. Can you? You can't. You don't know what is the IP. Even if I cannot, nobody can access it. Okay, but it is running. You saw? Both are running. Web server is running, DB server is running, but it does not. If you see here, it does not have a IP for public IP address. Then how to access it? So what I'm going to do is create a load balancer. Publicly available load balancer. Okay, so I have created it. Let me delete it. Okay. So you may go to the load balancer and create a load balancer here and create a application load balancer in the HTTP. So which can pass actually HTTP and HTTPS. So because this is a web server, so I call it my public ELB, Elastic Load Balancer, and it is internet facing. IPv4, and it can pass only HTTP, and if you can pass also HTTPS also. And in the VPC, this VPC, and go to the security settings. Okay, it is telling that, okay, here availability zones, I can add both, and okay, it is giving a, because I don't have, at least 2 public subnets should be there. Okay, so it is good. Obviously, I cannot, my private subnet cannot be associated, but I need a public. So it is giving here, you are creating an internet load balancer, but there is no internet gateway attached to the subnet you have selected. This one, there is no internet gateway. That means it cannot reach to this. So what I'll do is, before really creating, let me go and create another public IP in another availability zone. Okay, so go to VPC and create a subnet. Create a subnet. I call it, what is the naming convention I have given here? This one, right? Okay. And this will, I'll call it 2B. And it is in the VPC and availability zone. I'll call it in the B. And site 10.0.2, 2.0. 1 is already created, so 2.20, this one. And I make it in the publicly available. And you see, this is public subnet. This is in the private 2A and 2B, right? So 2 are there. And in the root table, it is by default, it is NAT. It is connected to NAT. Right, okay. So now this is my root table. In the public root table, subnet association, edit subnet association. And if you see, this is 2.0, this is the main, and I am going to save it. I associate now 2.0 into my public root table. So now it should be public. So now I'll go back to my EC2 service and again go to the load balancer, create a load balancer, create, and I call it my public, maybe load balancer, and I'll also add HTTPS now, VPC, and 2A, this is the subnet which is public, 2B, and this is the public. Both are now public. So upload certificate and all, I don't want to do. Okay, because it's for the simplicity, I don't know what, because it is secure is HTTPS means all the certificates and all you will be have to configure. Let me not do that now. Make it simple. Security group, I'll add the BOC DMZ security group so that port will be allowed. And now it asks a target group. That means it can have a group of instances. Okay, so I have created already an existing target group, but for the sake of new, let me create a called my public web server group. This is the group I created, and it is consists of instances, and protocol is HTTP, port is 80, and I'll check. I'll come back later. I want to just show it. This question and this I want to take again next time actually. How the load balancer is, how it with 2 separate instances it can load balance. I'll take it special session next time. But for the simplicity, what is the how the load balancer works, I'm going to show it today. Okay, so let's not worry about the health check, because this is just to remember that health check is something done with respect to any web server, that if the instance is healthy or not, so that if it is not healthy, it will stop sending the traffic to that particular instance. And how this is done, I'll go to the advanced setting as well. I'll explain what is all this next time. For the sake of simplicity, let's not worry about much today. Targets, and which is the target in the group. This is a web server is the group, not the DB server. So I have to add it here so that this is selected. And next is review and create. So now successfully created the load balancer. So it is showing provisioning. Okay, it should be ready. Once it is ready, actually, we'll see that with this web server load balancer, actually I can access the web server. Okay, so now there is a DNS name here. There is no IP address, but there is a DNS name. So this one I should copy and just put it. And when it is ready, actually, it is still not ready, so it will not come. We have to wait. So we have to provision the load balancer. Let's see. So we'll take a more detailed session of load balancer next time. Still provisioning. And you see here, listeners, I just want to, listener is HTTP, and it is default for, it will forward the load balancer or forward the request to a group called my public web server group. If you click here, you see that, and which in who are else in that group. If you go to the target, you see that this is the target, the instance, which is nothing but the web server. Okay. Active. Okay, let's see. So now this is going here, and if I just check the WordPress, WordPress. Okay, we got the same thing without the IP address, right?
Yeah.
And even if same thing here, if you go to WP admin, I believe this is the login page. Or in fact, here I think we can. Why this? Okay. We have to, okay, we have set up something with the IP address initially. Okay, so it is actually trying to, it has been set to a static IP address previously when you configured WordPress. So then what you have to do is, we have to do differently, we have to configure. I'll tell that later, because we removed the IP address. Now, if you log in here, it is actually going to the previously, which is configured the IP address rather than going to this, because you see here, right? So that is WordPress configuration, and we'll see that maybe next time how to. But we saw that what is the use of the my intention of doing this is just to giving an exposure to what is a load balancer and how they are used. So now you saw that even if the use case of this demo is, we saw that without having a public IP address, if somebody asks you, can I access my web server without having a public IP address? The answer is yes. How? Using a publicly available load balancer. Okay, this is, I think, a typical solution architect question also. if you, there may be a question. Nobody obviously guarantees, but there is a question like related to this. There is a question always, I believe. Okay. So this is what we achieved today. That was my intention. And any other question today? That's all for today then, and we'll meet in the next time. And
Panja, what is the this is Dilip Panja. What is the difference between public IP and elastic IP?
both are the same, but elastic IP is you can assign and unassign, right? We saw that. But once you if you are directly assigning during creation, then you cannot unassign it. So we can check it here. Let me delete both the servers. Just to answer that, I launch another instance. I create a public to B, to A. Okay. And here, next time, security group, I create something. Launch. I created a public with a public IP address. I created an instance. Okay. This one is communicating and it has got IP address. I cannot unassign it. Okay.
Okay. So public IPs are like static, and like elastic IP
no,
are
elastic IP also it is different. See here it is elastic IP. You see this IP address is static. Okay. Once it is allocated to you, it is static. But these are all actually ephemeral IP addresses. Okay. As long as the instance is there. Okay. This IP address exists. Once the the web server gone, suppose here there was IP address. When it is gone, the IP address is also. Suppose now this IP address is here. Now if I delete it, this IP address also gone, terminated, ephemeral. Okay.
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
But whereas elastic IP does not depend upon the life cycle of your instance. Okay. If elastic IP, still it exists. I can have another IP address allocated to me. You saw that allocated. Refresh. You saw that? This is another allocated to me. And I can utilize for any instances. For this IP address is now allocated to me. I can utilize it for my own, wherever I want.
Is it paid? You have to pay for this?
If I'm not utilizing, I'll pay. That's why I said it is free, but you have to utilize it. You have to allocate to some instance. If it is just lying without associate instance ID, no, 0, right? So it will be charged. This one, because this is actually for the gateway, right? This is, if you see, one is utilized for the gateway, not gateway. This it has the elastic IP address, but the other one I just created, right? Elastic IP. If you see, I just created and it is a floating one. Nowhere it is attached to anything. So this will be charged. If it is there lying around for more time, I'll be charged. Okay. So
how about load balancer? Does it cost anything, load balancer?
No. But if you want to, there is a data. Obviously, they measure the data also. If it is too big and you have multiple, obviously they have a different calculation for it. Okay. So otherwise, delete the NAT gateway also. Okay, and we'll see next time more.
Okay.
Yep. And we will stop today. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Pastor. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Bye.